happy. That's all I did.
I appreciate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Danny Hernandez. James Rasanti is on assignment in Los Angeles for WrestleMania weekend, and Chad is probably asleep. Anyway, we are back once again to review AEW Dynamite, and we start with the opening match of the show, which saw Jungle Boy Jack Perry against Matt Hardy. Obviously, this is stemming from all of the stuff that has gone on with All Ego Ethan Page and the firm, and sort of, but anyway, Matt Hardy was in control for the majority of this match. He had a couple of side effects on Jack, and he had Ethan Page in his corner running a whole lot of interference, so Hardy was able to be in control. Finally, Hook eventually comes down to take out Ethan Page, who, in the process of trying to take out Hook, he hit Matt Hardy in the head, just absolutely clocked him while Hardy was holding Hook back. Jungle Boy is able to take advantage. He hits Tope Suicida and then countered two side effects before hitting a flatliner. Jack was then able to hit the sliding elbow to the back of the head and was able to pin Matt Hardy for the win. Danny, I know that's not really the story of this match, but do you have any quick comments on it before we get to the real meat and bones of it?
Yeah, why wasn't Ethan Page hitting Matt Hardy at DQ? Like, what was the ref doing at that point?
That's a good question. I guess because he knows they're on the same side, it's referee's discretion. And I feel like that's a real cover for anything. Like, just blanket. What up, Jay? Just any blanket thing that happens in AEW that should be a DQ. But you're probably right. But yeah. Like I said, unless you got something else.
No, absolutely not.
Like I said, the real meat and potatoes of this segment was MJF coming out to the ring after the match. He comes out and he says that everything Jack said last week was about their divergent career paths was pretty much true. MJF's job is a joke. He just, wormed his way up to the top, and now all he does is nothing. He's barely there. When he is there, he barely wrestles. And he comes in, shits on the fans, and takes a private jet back to Long Island. So it's pretty easy for him. Meanwhile, Jack instead has busted his ass to finally get back near the top, and he's barely so much as gotten a thank you from the fans. Max then goes on to say that after his match with Jungle Boy a few years back, he felt that Jungle Boy was actually equal to him in the ring, so he went backstage and shook Jack's hand and gave him some advice. Jungle Boy goes on to say that the advice was nice guys finish last and that he should ditch all his friends and look out for himself. And MJF was like, yeah, see? And I was right. All your friends have left you, and you were just on the bottom, on the bottom or in the middle of the card for weeks. It was good, John Blattner. Or excuse me, not even for weeks, for years. So you should have listened, because if they did, then maybe they would be running the place together. Jungle Boy responds that he wishes he was a little more like Max, a better talker, a little more confident, a narcissistic backstabber, willing to do whatever it takes to get to the top, and the biggest piece of shit in the company. But Jack says if his road to the top is a little bit harder, so be it, because then at least he won't wake up alone and he won't hate the person in the mirror every morning. MJF then congrats Jack on finally learn how to talk after 4 years. That was pretty decent advice, depending on your point of view. And then he says that Jack is weak and that he talked to Jack's girlfriend, Anna Jay, who told him that Jack was also weak between the knees. This pisses Jungle Boy off. He double legs Max to a takedown, and the brawl is on, with Jack eventually hitting the rebound lariat to take MJF down before MJF rolls out of the ring, narrowly avoiding the sliding elbow to the back of the head, which needs a name because that appears to be Jack's finisher now. But Danny, I like this promo. It was pretty good. Like MJF condescendingly told Jungle Boy. I thought Jungle Boy did very well here. He's gotten much better as a promo, and he was able to hold his own against MJF, which is not an easy feat, especially if you're not a good talker.
Yeah, and it's really impressive that this worked so well, being that it was a heel versus heel promo segment. So that's pretty good. It's not the same without James here, but I'll carry on regardless.
Gotta keep
I
kayfabe.
I actually did genuinely really like this, and I hope we get some sort of interaction like this between MJF and Sammy and MJF and Darby in the next couple of weeks, because I really want that fatal four way, and I think that's what we're getting. But I've already seen some people thinking that we're like, oh, maybe this means Jungle Boy is going to be the guy. And I'm like, I think we're getting the fatal four way, and that's the dream right now. So
Yeah, you saw after the match, excuse me, that
Darby
both
and Sammy,
and
yeah.
Darby, yep, they were watching, and I think in the coming weeks we'll probably get another promo with Sammy and another promo with Darby interacting with MJF.
Yeah. And also, I want to see the other three interact with each other one-on-one, not in matches, just in promos and like segments.
Yeah,
There's so much, like, especially if they're really going to drag this out to the pay-per-view, which is quite a while away. That's how you do it. Like, each week, give us a little bit of interaction. Don't have the four of them interact together again for a while. There's plenty of good ways to drag this out. But MJF was great here as always. Jungle Boy was surprisingly good here as well. Why is Matt still wrestling? Great question, because he's better than his brother. Okay, look, I'm gonna say some hard truths right now. All right, Matt is better than Jeff. Christian is way, way better than Edge.
Are we talking right now or all time?
All time. And Bubba Ray is better than Devon. I can't argue for the less popular brother on that one. Kane is better than Undertaker. They're pretty even, I'm sure, politically, but there's Matt is better than, but I don't know what, he's not doing anything now, but he reinvented himself in such a way that if he wants to keep wrestling for a couple years, screw it, let him wrestle. Yeah. Oh my God, Jay, where have you been? Where have you been, man?
Yes, it's not the Jay comment I meant to click, but it worked way better.
You fit in so favor. Well here, man.
But just to put what I said in the chat to the screen here, they actually use Matt very well. He's there putting guys over. He's there helping. Like, he's not really taking the shine off of anybody. So it's not like he's an Undertaker staying past his welcome the way Jay put it in the chat. I think he's actually doing a pretty decent job in his role.
I guess. I mean, we never see it besides like the 2 weeks he's been on TV in the past few months. But, the biggest gripe I have with Matt Hardy is that he's using the Hardy Boys music, and all the dumb fans think that Jeff's coming out. He's not coming out. And also, shame on you for popping for this fucking criminal. But, whatever. James isn't here, so I'm just mad for no reason.
Just absolutely taking Jeff Hardy out at the knees, strictly because James isn't here to defend himself.
And because his knees are wobbly.
James is actually on a plane right now, so he can't even come into the chat and defend himself unless he buys the Wi-Fi. So this is going to get ugly.
Also, James isn't just going to Hollywood for Mania. He's actually, they're doing a Maid reboot that he's working on. And Chad is secretly producing it. That's why he's not here. Yeah. By the way, hi, John. Yeah, everyone say hi to John. He's the man. But yeah, good stuff. This made me really excited for this build. This was one of my favorite parts of the show. Yeah, but good job by both guys. Like, I'll shit on Jungle Boy all day long, but he was good here. Absolutely. Like, he had a good heel promo to meet Max's heel promo, and they met in the middle. It was nice. Also, there's a reason that half the crowd was cheering for Matt during this match. It's because Jungle Boy's a heel.
Yeah, well, that ends. Matt is still over. Like, people still love him, so I'm not surprised. I agree with you. I enjoyed this. I thought it was one of the better parts of. It was honestly a kind of a. I said weird before we got on here. It was a weird show. It was certainly not one of the strongest ones they've had, especially of late. I thought they've done really good shows lately, and this one wasn't too strong, but a lot of plot driving today, which we'll actually start getting into right now, where we had a backstage interview with Kenny Omega and Don Callis. Don actually asked for this interview after last week, where he kind of got in between both Hangman, Kenny and the Blackpool Combat Club, where Don basically grabbed onto Hangman, and when they released each other, Don fell. So Don took responsibility for that, saying, that maybe, probably not, but maybe.
Well, see, the only reason we might denounce that is because he shaved his beard and mustache. So,
Yeah, if he probably would have kept the mustache. Anyway, Don took responsibility for falling last week, saying he lost his grip on Hangman. And then he asked Kenny why he thought Hangman did something, and Hangman Kenny very meekly responded, saying that Hangman has pushed Don before. But Kenny clearly wasn't into any of this. He was trying to prep for his IWGP US title match later, so he wasn't really paying attention. Don goes, "Don't worry about it. I'll go find Hangman and apologize," and leaves. And Kenny's like, "Wait, what the fuck are you doing?" So that was that. But very interesting segment that got the ball rolling on a lot of things.
Can I say I actually thought this was really good? I like how because the cliffhanger last week was cute, but like logically it doesn't make sense, because how would Kenny ever believe it? But then Callis spun it in such a great way to say, well, why were you so quick to think that he hit me? Like, why would you think that? That was actually really good. I gotta give hats off to Callis on that one. Like, that's really good.
Yeah, the invisible hand, he's very slowly, making himself come off well, while still like planting seeds of doubt in Kenny's mind about Hangman and about the Bucks too. So yeah, no QTV this week, just a straight up Hobbs segment. I was a little disappointed. After this, we came back from commercial, where we saw Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange take the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass out on the town in St. Louis. They also went to a Blues game. I would like to thank the Blues for Vladimir Tarasenko as a Rangers fan. That's very niche, but I had to.
There's a hockey team called the Blues.
Yeah, because like St. Louis is known for the blues, like music. So they're the Blues, like their logo's a note. It's actually very clever, kind of like the Jazz, but when they're in New Orleans, that's why they're the Jazz, because they started in New Orleans. There's no Jazz in Utah. There's only Mormons. I'm pretty sure it's against their religion. Anyway, they took out the Acclaimed on Jericho's dime, as they're trying to include the Acclaimed to the JS, and the Acclaimed say they will give their answer next week. I'm gonna go with no. After this, we had Dalton Castle and the boys versus the Blackpool Combat Club. This lasted all of 2 minutes. The Dalton Castle and the boys got jumped from behind during their entrance by the Blackpool Combat Club. Mox took out Dalton. Wheeler took out one of the boys, and the other one of the boys was taken out in the ring by Claudio. And somehow the bell rang during all of this, and the BCC picked up the win in like I said, 2 minutes, and then escaped through the crowd. So not even a match, but this is something that, again, was part of a bigger thing here. So I'm just going to roll right through it, Danny, because this is all kind of one big thing.
I just want to say that it was really nice to hear Claudio's music. I feel like I haven't heard it in a long time.
Yeah, they always come out to Mox's, so yeah, it was kind of cool to hear the 1812 Overture. So yes, after that, we got a video package recapping Omega's match last week against Hijo de Vikingo, and then all the stuff with the Elite surrounding it and everything. And then we jumped into a backstage interview with Hangman Page. Marvez asked Page how the Bucks were doing, and he said that Nick has a separated shoulder and Matt has a partially torn triceps. So they'll be home this week and probably for a little while. I'm pretty sure Matt's injury is a shoot, so from what I understand, he has avoided surgery because this is one of those things where if it's not too torn, you can rehab it. So we'll see how that goes. I hope Matt's okay. And I don't know if Nick's injury is a work or a shoot, but I hope he's doing well as well. Then Hangman's asked who did it, and he goes, well, it was obviously those Blackpool guys. It's clearly them. And as he's responding, John comes over and actually tries to give an apology. And he does a pretty good job, and it seems like Hangman's going to shake his hand when Hangman's blindsided by the Blackpool Combat Club and taken out. Don's standing there with his hands still out. And he goes, I think he said to Mox, do you shake hands? And Mox just absolutely fucking levels him, knocks him to the floor, and bloodies Don.
Yeah, I heard he actually had to get looked at for a bit after that.
Yeah, it was a clean shot. So then right after this, we had Kenny Omega versus Jeff Cobb for the IWGP United States Championship. But before Kenny went out to the ring, Shivani ran over to him and told him that the BCC had jumped both Hangman and Don, and that the both of them were being looked at by medical. Kenny goes, what the fuck? Like, he's so confused. He's like, no, I got to focus. So he goes out for the match. Kenny, because he's having a New Japan match, had his New Japan entrance, which I thought was a nice touch. But Cobb dominated most of the early and middle parts of this match. Kenny was selling his ribs from last week. So Cobb just attacked those constantly and was, like I said, able to just keep control over the majority of the early match. Later in the match, towards the end, Kenny's able to get back into it with a series of Snapdragon suplexes, including one that was preceded by a V-trigger just to get he could actually lock it in. And then towards the end, Cobb was able to hit a V-trigger of his own and got Kenny up for the one-winged angel, which is an interesting choice. But Kenny was able to escape and then attempted a V-trigger of his own. Cobb was able to block that and went for Tour of the Islands. But Kenny counters and hits a ripcord V-trigger. I'm talking too fast. Sending Cobb into the ropes. Kenny then hits another V-trigger on the ropes and then the one-winged angel to successfully defend his title. Yeah. We'll get to that in a second.
Just going from Vikingo to Cobb is like,
yeah. Well, let's go over the match first before we go over what after it. Cobb he's good. He's a very good gaijin over in Japan, but people over here don't seem to know him that well. I mean, shit, I confuse him with the guy in WWE,
Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed, yeah, I think he was Jonah when he got released, and I think that might have been part of the reason why I got confused. But either way, like he's a good wrestler. It's just he doesn't have the traction over here that some New Japan guys do. So I could see why the crowd would be dead for him. And this match was good, like it was fine, but like nothing, heart stopping or pulse racing like last week, Danny.
Yeah. I felt bad. I was like, is this me? Like, am I just being like bitter that I don't like this? But I was like, it was fine. Like it was just fine. Kenny's had obviously, I think it just broke his streak of 5-star matches tonight. And I don't give a fuck about Cobb. No offense to Korn, but
it's got the juice.
Also, from just to address one of Jay's earlier comments about Ambrose. I mean, maybe he's had it with Punk, but they got common enemies right now, so maybe they can all get along. I'm gonna be honest, Jay. I probably we haven't seen a Braun and Mello video package. But a lot of this week was phoned in. I will say that, Becky versus Io is actually carrying this week and on that promo. And then, SmackDown will ultimately bring it home. But in an NXT note, just for you, Jay, let's go Roxanne Perez. She seems to be okay. Good for her.
I'm glad to hear that. I hadn't seen that yet.
But yeah, this match could have... I mean, obviously it could have been better, but it's fine. It didn't have to be because it, like you were saying and alluding to, it really wasn't about the match. It was about the post-match. So
right. And I'll jump right into that. So after the match, Kenny can barely stand, and he's immediately surrounded by the Blackpool Combat Club like a fucking pack of wild dogs. Then out of nowhere, Bryan Danielson's music hits, not his Tron for some reason, but his music, and he comes down to the ring, yelling at Claudio and Wheeler to get off of the apron. Bryan then goes into the corner to help Kenny up, and Kenny kind of wobbles to his feet and then runs across the ring to take a wild swipe at Wheeler, who got back up on the apron. When he does that, Bryan lines up Kenny and absolutely nails him with the Busaiku knee, rejoining with the Blackpool Combat Club. He locks in the label lock on Kenny, and the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club come in to stomp Kenny out and fend off any security or referees trying to come into the ring to break everything up before they scatter and leave through the crowd. So Brian's back. Brian's heel, and he's back with the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm hyped. I'm hyped.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about it, honestly.
I do too, but I'm still hyped.
I am very interested in where this is going to go. I wanted Brian to be gone for a little longer, honestly. I wanted to really start to wonder about him, and I just think he was so white hot as the face from that feud that him being heel right now is just really upsetting. But you know, the idea of him having a rematch with Kenny, you know, it's nice to know that we're gonna get our match of the year soon. So that's cool. Him being heel, as much as I have mixed feelings about it, is cool because, you know, that was what the Blackpool Combat Club was originally was, except it was a little more interesting because it was like Moxley wasn't a heel, but Brian was, but yet they were friends and they were just beating people up together and bonding over just mercilessly beating people. So like, but now they're just all out and out heels. Like, I don't know. I'm very interested and I'm excited for the matches we'll get from this. But I just don't want Brian. That face run was so good. That title match was so good that I wanted Brian to be a face. I wish he would actually be hesitant with joining them. But like the way they did it with like setting up the knee like that was cool because the crowd got to see it first. It's like there was just like 3 seconds of like dramatic irony where the crowd knew what was going to happen and Kenny didn't.
Yeah.
So like that was nice to have that little bit of separation there. So the way they did it was really, really cool. But
I always love that when the crowd like notices like, oh God, he's gonna hit him. Oh God. Yeah. And everyone's just like, oh no. And like everyone starts getting up. It's always such a great reaction no matter who they do it to.
Yeah.
And especially I feel like the Elite in general do that so well. And most of the time it's a tease, especially with like the Bucks and Hangman and stuff.
Oh like yeah. That. When Hangman like was on the ropes, like am I gonna get buckshot my tag team partner right now? Like,
yeah, no, and then at the same time, the Bucks were all kind of in a super kick position along with Kenny. Like, yeah, they did that. I mean, a couple of weeks ago when the Bucks and Kenny came into the ring to defend Hangman, and they were all in position because they were trying to fight the BCC, but Hangman turned around, and all of a sudden they were all ready to attack somebody. Like they're so good at that, and for it to finally happen to one of them. But it to come from somewhere else is both ironic and seemingly poetic a little bit. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the structure of it. I just don't know if it's what I want, but I'm very interested no matter what. So it's not like I'm like, I didn't like this and now I'm sour on it. It's like I don't want Brian to be heel, but I'm so curious about this that you know, I'm gonna write it out. I want to cheer the guy. Or most importantly, actually, I'll preface this, and this is also for James. You know, but Brian needs to win a fucking match, a big match, not a match against one of the Bucks in a singles match. Like he needs to beat Kenny or Hangman or any like just a big name. He has not beaten a big name in a singles match in his entire AEW career, and I don't count Miro because he was a replacement in a tournament.
But that's why he's joining with these guys, right? Because he hasn't been able to do it, and all of these guys are now going after these people in Kenny and Hangman that he hasn't been able to beat.
Well, they should not allow him in because he's a loser, honestly. They should probably be like, well, how are you going to lead us when you can't beat anyone, you know?
Well, at the same time, I mean, I guess it was technically 2-2, but Moxley kind of lost the feud to Hangman. I know it's still going, but like he beat him in a way. Hangman beat him in a Texas death match You know, like what
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that should be Moxley's, Moxley's domain.
Yeah, but Brian's never beaten anybody. At least
Yeah,
Moxley's
period.
beaten.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
but I am excited. I don't know if so soon, and it's just so fresh off of him being like the biggest fucking baby face. And we only got Brian as a baby face in AEW for like 3 months in total. Like there was the one, like there was like 2 months in the beginning, 2 months here maybe at most. So like,
And even then, like in the beginning, he was still like a tweener.
yeah, it's just like, well, it's like you attacked the guy I love, so I hate you. It wasn't really until like the 3 or 4 weeks before the pay-per-view was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be a full-on babyface now, and kind of I wanted babyface Brian for longer, but it said it opens up new possible matches, which a lot of them is just matches we've actually already had, but again, because we've learned a lesson from AEW's track record, which is just do matches as soon as possible because you never know when you're not going to be able to do them anymore. Well, we're never going to get another FTR Bucks match at this rate. Like, it's probably never going to happen again.
I mean,
you
shit, they might be
pull
out of the
trigger.
company after next week.
Yep. So we'll see. But yeah, it's interesting no matter what. I understand your hype. I am somewhere there, just without the excitement. But I feel things about this.
Yeah, because I mean, we're getting a reunited BCC, which we haven't had in seemingly since what's his name, Regal left. So I'm excited about that. And not only are they reunited, they're heel now all at the same time for the first time, which I think is going to be cool. This is leading to something with Kenny Hangman and the Bucks, like in a 4-on-4. I don't know if it's going to be blood and guts. I don't know if it's going to be some sort of anarchy in the arena thing again, or a stadium stampede or whatever, but it's leading to something big at the end of it, some sort of faction warfare. So I'm excited for all of those possibilities. And outside of the Ring of Honor titles, which aren't really going to be a problem during this, there's no title involved in it, which I think is a good thing because A, none of them are being held hostage, and B, it's not for that. It's just because they all fucking hate each other.
I'm not gonna lie, that's not a bad idea. As much as Jim Cornette has some really, really, really bad takes, like his recent take on Sting's match last week, which is like one of the best matches of the year. But him and Don mixed it up would be very, very interesting. I'd be super into that actually.
I think Cornette hates most of the guys in the BCC, so I don't know about that one. I don't think he likes Claudio. There's a few of those guys. I don't think he likes them.
But everyone loves Brian, so
that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, there's a lot of excitement surrounding that, so we'll probably be talking about it for weeks. So let's move on to what happened next, which was involving the aforementioned FTR. But this was a backstage promo by the Guns. They're just assholes, and they've said they've been there every week.
Boys, you mean?
Yeah, that too. They've been there every week busting their asses to earn the titles, whereas FTR stayed at home and took time off and then came back and politicked and bitched their way to a title match. They also say they used to respect FTR and look up to them. The only other person they ever respected was their father, and look what they did to him. But now they just hate FTR and they can't wait to run them out of the company next week.
They are not wrong.
Cool.
And they cut a good promo. Still shouldn't be champs. That shouldn't be happening.
Run on the money there. Speaking of money, next up we had Orange Cassidy versus The Butcher for the AEW International Championship match. And yes, I make sure I read international every time so I don't say intercontinental. Before the match, The Butcher and the Blade both attacked Orange Cassidy, including Blade trying to use a crowbar before he stopped by the referee and thrown from ringside. I honestly didn't write a lot about this match because I thought, and we'll get into this more in a second, I thought this was unfortunately kind of boring, but eventually the Blade came back towards the end of the match, and while the ref was distracted by Butcher, he hops in the ring and hits Orange in the back with the crowbar. Then he hops out of the ring, and best friends come down, and they start taking out Blade and throw him into the steps. So Butcher gets all pissed off. He grabs a ref, literally fucking throws him across the ring, hops out, and then Chucky T hit him right in the ribs with the crowbar and then throws him back into the ring. Orange Cassidy hits the orange punch and then a beach break, 1, 2, 3, and defends his title. But like I said, Danny, this was, compared to the Orange Cassidy matches we've had the last 6 weeks or so, this was aggressively mediocre. Like, I was just not really taken by this match. The only other thing I wrote was there was an interesting moment in this match where Orange was going for one of his tilt-a-whirl DDTs, and I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but I couldn't tell if he almost like slipped or Butcher almost dropped him, and then Butcher was able to bring it up more into a power bomb, and then Orange was able to counter that into a DDT. I couldn't tell if that was a caught botch or it was a counter. Either way, it was cool. But other than that, nothing really caught my eye for this match, other than the fact I was surprised it didn't open just because the way Orange Cassidy matches had been doing so well opening shows.
Well, because this is a significant step down in quality of opponents. No offense to the Butcher, but if he's wrestling a singles match, it really is every time I die of boredom out there, and it's just not believable. At least Jay Lethal, there's a belief that he could be a singles champion in AEW. Not that I believed he was going to beat Cassidy for the title, but I could believe he could be a singles champion. With Jeff Jarrett, that was a legitimate concern because as fun as Jeff has been, and he has been so fun, the second he wins a match he's not supposed to win, that's where everything goes wrong. So we have to always keep that in mind and be cautious while enjoying Jeff Jarrett programs and matches. So there's some sort of believability there, but to face a tag team guy, a tag team that's lackeys in a group of jobbers, there's no way to get into this. So that being said, and also just coming off a team with Sting and Darby last week in one of the best matches of the year. But to keep the topic on Sting real quick, so going based off of Gangrel's his IPA that he made called The Brood, I think Sting should open a bar and call it the Crowbar, and he can serve the Brood there. And
serve Austin's alcohol too.
Yeah, and then they could promote bar fights there. That could be the part of the appeal of it. And you could have rafters people could sit up in and brood with their brood. It works on so many levels. Sting.
You have the APA in the back playing cards.
Exactly. You serve APAs. You got the APA. You serve IPAs. There's, I don't know what an APA is. This works on so many levels. You're welcome, Sting. When you feel like winding down from jumping off a big ass shit in your 60s, open up this bar. It's definitely an idea. But yeah, nothing to really talk about this match. So that's why I wanted to pitch my Sting bar idea.
Honestly, if he doesn't do it, I might.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. You're right. The quality of opponent is definitely a step down, and that's no knock on Butcher. Butcher and Blade are both very good at what they do. They're good at being these mercenary guys that kind of latch on to groups and are good as muscle. But throwing them in a match especially a title match, what has Butcher done to earn this title match?
Yeah.
Like you said, a Jay Lethal and a bunch of other guys that Orange has faced, they have believable reasons as to earn the title match. I don't know if Orange is just booking, accepting whoever knocks on Tony's door, and probably he is, knowing Orange. Tony just goes, "Hey, do you want to fight this guy?" And he probably just okay, and throws up the, throws up the very lazy thumbs up, and then they end up fighting in kayfabe. But it was definitely a step down, and on a card where not much happened. I was kind of hoping for some banger matches to elevate it, and we just didn't really get it. No, Grant, and I say not much happened outside of the BCC stuff. Not much happened, so disappointing, which is weird to say when it comes to Orange Cassidy. let us move on to a backstage promo from Jade Cargill. Taya Valkyrie is still using the Jaded, and Jade's still pissed.
Cool.
She ignored the cease and desist, and she used the Jaded on both Layla Gray and Smart Mark on Friday, and she also broke Smart Mark's nose, which is just funny. So if Taya uses Jaded again on Rampage, Smart Mark will send some legal person down to send a court order, and then they're going to sue her. So, also, one of my favorite things about Jade, though, in all this, is she has these lackeys, and she expects them to do things, and 9 times out of 10, they suck at it, especially Mark. And she's just like, just get it fucking done every time. And she's just always so annoyed with them. And it's one of my favorite parts of Jade's character. After that, we had Juice Robinson promo, and I missed this because if you watch TBS on Xbox, after like an hour and 40 minutes, it'll ask you if you're still watching, which is a ridiculously short amount of time. So when I finally turned my controller back on and pressed yes, it sent me to the Big Bang Theory because that's what was on the West Coast. So I had to back all the way out and come back in. Anyway, fucking get that fixed, TBS. An hour 40 is too short. Make it like 3 hours, like a normal person. But something happened on Rampage last week with Ricky Starks. They're fighting next week on Long Island, I think on Dynamite. And Juice also has a match against Action Andretti on Rampage. So good for him. After this, we had Willow Nightingale versus Ruby Soho. I say this every time she's on TV. Willow is low-key over as hell. She has a really fun entrance. People love it. Put her on TV more. Anyway.
I feel like
Willow,
she's on TV a lot.
That's fair, yeah. She's been on TV recently because she's been making rescues against the Outcasts, but more. Anyway, Willow was on top of things early until Ruby played off their friendship and suckered Willow in. And then Ruby distracted the ref, which allowed Saraya to jump up on the apron and land some solid knees. Also, shout out Ruby, instead of just like doing some generic shit, actually went to Aubrey like there's something in my eye and was trying to get like Aubrey to check her eye. So way to actually be creative.
Yeah, I caught that too. That was a nice touch. Yeah.
I also like Saraya complaining that the camera guy hit her with the wires, and then fucking Taz was defending her. That was funny as hell. Anyway, later in the match, Tony ended up distracting Willow and allowed Ruby to hit 2 no futures, and then Willow still kicked out of both of them, which is awesome. Willow then countered a Destination Unknown into a backslide and was about to set up for a Dr. Bomb when Saraya jumped on the apron again and started distracting the ref. This allowed Tony to grab Ruby and pull her out of Willow's grasp, and then Ruby was able to, as Willow was yelling at Tony Storm, Ruby went into a roll-up and went to put her feet on the ropes, and Tony held them there for extra leverage, and Ruby was able to pick up the win. After the match, the Outcast predictably jumped Willow, and then Sky Blue and Rio came running down for the save, but they were outnumbered because Willow was down, so they got their asses beat. And then Jamie Hayter came down for the save as well, and she cleared out the ring and almost hit a Haterade on Tony Storm. After all the Outcasts left the ring, Hayter and Rio shook hands because they have a title match next week. And then Hayter chased the Outcasts all the way to the back, which is actually kind of funny. But
again, another nice touch. I like that too.
Yeah. So outside the small touches, though, I actually enjoyed this match. It was a little slow in the middle there, but the end was cool. I thought they did a good job of making Willow look strong, actually. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but they do a pretty good job protecting her. And I thought this was a good job of that. She kicked out of 2 no futures, which is a big deal, and lost on like a heating distraction roll up, which is even stronger than a regular distraction roll-up, which, as we all know, is the strongest move in wrestling. So I think they did a good job of protecting her. And I'm actually, and on a side note, I'm looking forward to that Rio versus Hayter match next week. But what'd you think of this week's?
I liked that they kept the crowd. That was an important thing to me, that
They did.
the crowd was into it, and they kept the crowd through the match. So that's good. I didn't love... At first, I was like, are they really just going to do the same thing with the rundown for the save? But no, they actually just were like, no, well, you two are the weak two, so we're just going to beat you two up. So that was nice. And then Jamie making the save is cool too. after that. But this needs to advance a little bit more now. Like, I'm a big defender of this story, but they need to advance a little more. I'm not into the Jamie Riho match. I've seen Jamie beat Riho recently, and I know Riho beat Tony in a match like a month ago, but like,
not even. It was like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, sure. But like, this feels like an unnecessary speed bump in the story. But like, I'm sure it'll be a fun match because the last match that was fun too. But like, I don't know. I'm not super into that, but I get it. I'm not denying that it'll probably be a fun match. But this was a slower week for this story, but it was at least different. I liked all the small touches that we pointed out. So, and this didn't feel as rushed as other women's segments normally do on this show. So,
yeah, no, they gave them a lot of time for this match. They went through the commercial break, and I missed like right after they came back from commercial, so I could hear Excalibur yelling things. So I'm pretty sure something cool happened there. But yeah, I always like when they do the little things right in any match, and I feel like because they don't get as much time, it comes across more when they do the women's segments. So I was happy they did small stuff like that. Like I said, I was very happy with the way Willow was presented. She's great. She is great, and she is over. So I'm happy she's getting TV time. Hopefully, they can push her more in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, she lost to Jade like 3 or 4 times, so that's out of the question. But maybe in the short term, like a future title shot for her, the way Rio's getting one would be cool. But yeah, just keep her on TV, and I love her entrance. Her theme is great. It just always makes me smile. So good stuff out of the women this week. But like you said, nothing really hit hard this week. So it's, by comparison, it kind of did. All right, let's move on. We had a quick promo from Powerhouse Hobbs, reading from the Book of Hobbs. He defeated, what's his name? Penta last week on Rampage to defend his title. I don't know who's next, but should be cool. And then we come to the main event, and we are blowing through this show. Anyway, it was Daniel Garcia versus the returning Adam Cole, baby. Welcome back, Adam Cole. It's nice to see him back in the ring. Unfortunately, this match wasn't awesome. Honestly, a lot of this was just Garcia being in control. It was just attacking Cole's head and neck like the entire time. Dropped in a couple of pile drivers for good measure. Cole got in a little bit of offense, but not a whole lot. Blame Chad.
Yeah, next time Chad's here, ask him why he doesn't review NXT anymore.
Chad used to be our NXT guy, and he was great at it. And for whatever reason, he just fell out of watching it. And
yeah, but that being said, you guys have been, it, and Jay have been arguing in the comments for a long time. So I guess I'm gonna address it real quick before we talk about the main event truly. I don't think NXT is the best show. I think it's best enjoyed in small doses because they do stuff like Dexter Loomis and
well, he used to.
yeah, and stuff. Also, you're talking shit about Adam Cole, Jay. That guy was NXT. He was the guy.
Yeah,
NXT.
I was gonna say he was North American champ. He was the NXT champ. He was on top of the card for like 3 years. So now, granted, that was black and gold, and maybe Jay is more of a 2.0, colorful NXT guy.
Yeah, which is fine. I like the colorful logo. Actually, I'll actually defend that logo and say that people complaining about it are babies. But you guys. I know it's just for fun. But I just didn't want to weigh in too much because I wanted to see where it goes. Jay, man, we'll meet you in real life one day because you seem like a real hoot, man.
I'll throw my two cents in on NXT as well because I have nothing against NXT, and quite frankly, everything I see about it is good. I just don't have the opportunity to watch it on Tuesdays, and I try to watch clips. I try to keep up on what's going on, but I don't see it day to day, or week to week, which is why I am unable to review it. So I don't think none of us have anything against NXT, and quite frankly, Jay, I don't think I could rate Braun properly just because I strictly haven't seen enough of him. I know he's good. I know he's most likely the future of WWE, just the way they're trying to build him. But at the moment, I don't know.
I mean, if it's not Cody to dethrone Reigns, I mean, it'll probably be Braun Breaker, you know. So there you go.
Or Gunther. But let's get back on topic here because this is a Dynamite review show. But like I said, this match was mostly Garcia being in control. Not a lot of offense from Cole. Towards the end, though, Garcia hits a pile driver that Cole is able to kick out of. And then Cole gets up in the corner, and as Garcia rushes him, Cole is able to get a thrust kick to counter. He climbs up to the second rope, hits the Panama Sunrise, then pulls down the knee pad and lowers the boom for the win. After the match, Dr. Britt Baker DMD comes out to celebrate with Adam Cole. It was a nice moment. There was a metric fuck ton of black and gold streamers. It was just so many.
Very, very specific color there. We're just talking about NXT, you know?
Yeah. Dude, I'm surprised it wasn't, black and yellow for Pittsburgh, but considering that's what color Cole was wearing, although he used to wear gold, not silver. Or, excuse me, gold and not yellow. I digress. Eventually, Chris Jericho's music hits, and he comes down to check on Garcia and pull him out of all the streamers, and starts walking him up the ramp. And multiple times as he's walking Garcia up, Jericho kind of looks over his shoulder back at Cole without really looking at him, teasing something for the future. But Danny, like I said, I unfortunately didn't enjoy this match. I don't know if this was just something where they were trying to protect Cole and take it easy, which I understand, but outside of I thought there was a cool spot where Cole went for the Panama Sunrise the first time and Garcia countered it. And it almost looked like a botch, but it wasn't because that's just the way they did. It was, other than that, I couldn't tell you a moment that stood out in this match, which is disappointing for somebody who's, coming back and trying to, who's in the main event too, as they're leading into their new show and who's as he's a big face of it. It felt really flat for me.
Yeah, it did. Look, there's a lot of, I understand why they did it. This match shouldn't main event, but because it's leading into the debut of the show that is going to heavily be based around the return of Adam Cole. There really wasn't much to latch onto in this. They probably just took it easy because they wanted to protect Cole, and that's fine. I'm sure as he has more and more matches, he'll be back to the Adam Cole we know and love, unless you're Jay, and he'll get there. But for now, this was what it was. I'm more concerned with the Jericho of it all because the madman is siphoning two popular acts at once now. He has reached his terror knows no bounds. He is now siphoning the Acclaimed and Adam Cole. He wants all of the pops. God damn. And in a way, MJF, because Sammy's involved in that. The JAS are menaces that need to be stopped. I don't want to see an Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho match or feud. I will admit I enjoyed the Acclaimed and 2.0 stuff to a degree.
That was fun.
That was fun. But now putting Adam Cole, oh man.
I think, but when Cole was coming back, didn't we kind of talk about okay, when we get to wherever, whether it's the pay-per-view or wherever they decide to have his first big match, did we not say Jericho would have been a fairly logical option because Jericho is a good win, first big win back for him? But
seeing it play out, I don't want it. I really don't.
I mean, I don't know if I particularly do either, but I don't know. On paper, it's not a bad idea. It's just,
on paper, anything with Jericho isn't a bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. That's a fair point. That is a fair point. Yeah, I think my biggest thing with this match was it could have been good if maybe it told more of a story. Maybe if Garcia was doing more like Matt and Shane wrestling, and he was just constantly getting Cole into submissions and holds and stuff, just trying to show Cole's ring rust as opposed to Garcia just kind of dominating him for 10 minutes. Like there was a way to do this where I think it would have hooked me more, and they just clearly didn't do that. And it's disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to care about Garcia since the Brian story went absolutely nowhere. I've kind of checked out with him a little bit.
Also, all due respect to Garcia, like the thing he does when he comes out where he puts his arms up like a fucking praying man, he just looks so goofy doing it. I think sorry, dude.
It makes him look even more like a creative wrestler than he already does. It's like, bro, what is that? It's
like, I get it, like, you're trying to put your arms up like you're fighting, but like he looks like a praying mantis.
Yeah. Who are you trying to box with? God?
Yeah, there's a way. There's a way to do that. Like if he came out like maybe a little more punchy or something. But I get that's not wholly original, and it seems like everybody who comes out needs something to do with their hands. But at least it makes you look more like a fighter, which is what he is. So I don't know. That's just me. But I think overall, even based on just the end match, this was like I said before, a weird Dynamite. It definitely it didn't hit. Like there was nothing big. There was nothing really to grab you except like the through thread with the Blackpool Combat Club, which only really ran through the first hour. So I didn't. This is definitely, compared to the last few weeks, was not a good episode.
Yeah, this really did not get me excited for WrestleMania. This was not a good go-home show for AEW. Like they, I'm willing to give SmackDown a chance to pick the ball back up and get it back on track. But this road to WrestleMania took a weird detour tonight. I'm not too thrilled, and I want to address Jay's comment. I know you already answered it in the chat, but with the questions, I know the Garcia twins said no, but I don't believe them, and I think they will show up.
They gotta defend their brother Daniel.
I want them to. I hate them, but I want them to come. Like, it's so weird because it'll be good.
Yeah, they would work well with the outsiders. Like if there was a time for them to join this company, it would be now.
Yeah. But so like I just think it would be good for the company more so than anything to have them, even though I don't like they'll get there. I'll be like, this is great, this is good for the company. And 3 weeks later, I'll be like, yo, I fucking hate them, bro. Why are they here? Goldberg, fuck it. Same exact thing, except I like Goldberg a little more than the Bella twins. But fuck it. Bring him in. Have him lose to Sting. I don't care. Have him lose to whoever. Ryback, no, never. No company should ever hire.
I
would hire Ryback.
Would not hire Ryback. Goldberg is interesting. First of all, you better stay away from Sting. I do not need that. I don't think, quite frankly, Sting would want to do it either.
Oh no, bring in Bret Hart. Actually, there we go. Bret Hart and FTR versus Goldberg and whoever.
There's a reason. I think Bret's still under contract with WWE. I think he has a Legends contract with them. Otherwise, I think he would be there. I genuinely do. So, but I don't know. I would have to look. I would have to look at that. But he's still got something with WWE where he can't be there with AEW. Because remember, he was there when they presented the title. Actually, remember, like the original.
Yeah.
Yes, so he's been involved with the company before. So yeah, but yeah, no Ryback. Goldberg is interesting, just because like you can't book him the way you book him in WWE. But like I would want to see him against like the bigger guys, I guess. And what are you gonna do? Book him against like Cobbs and Wardlow,
Lance Archer, obviously. Come on.
Like I don't know who you book him against outside of Sting, which I don't need to see Sting one-on-one ever again. Like, no disrespect to Sting, but I think he's in a perfect role right now. So I don't know what to do with Goldberg. It's an interesting situation. He might be done. Who knows? He might be hanging it up. I don't know. I don't know the man. So
You don't?
no, I actually don't know Goldberg. Surprisingly, no.
Okay.
In answer to your question, you know what? No, Brett was not there for the Owen Hart Cup at the end. Owen's wife was, but
which is way more impressive, honestly.
yeah, but well, she hates WWE, so obviously she doesn't have any ties with them. But Brett, like I said, he's still got something with WWE, so he can't work with AEW right now. But yeah, that's the show tonight. We kept it tight, obviously, just the two of us. But again, it wasn't a good show this week, so we really didn't have a lot to talk about. But we will have a lot to talk about this weekend. Obviously, it is WrestleMania weekend. I should probably stop yelling because we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do a lot of talking, and I don't want to pull my voice out again. I've already done it twice in 2 weeks. But in order to keep up with all of our stuff here for WrestleMania weekend, be sure to like this video and subscribe. We have our prediction show, which will be coming out tomorrow. A lot of predictions. James like magically disappears and reappears in the middle of it. It's insane.
If you ever seen Lost, it was kind of like that. He left the island for a bit and then he came back because he realized he had to go back and his destiny was here, you know?
Yeah. So be sure to check that out. We will be live after both nights of WrestleMania. Jay, I'm going to try to do NXT as well. I got to look at the time. I know it's the same day as WrestleMania, which is weird. That's kind of weird, right?
Is it? I assumed it was.
Oh, okay. So it's on at 1 before Mania. So, oh yeah, I'll watch it. Why not? I'll watch it.
I'll be at work, so.
Okay. So Jay, I'm doing nothing on Saturday. So I will put it in my phone and I will watch NXT Stand and Deliver. And I will live tweet it, and you should follow that on our Twitter. You can get that link in the description below, along with our Facebook and our Instagram and our TikTok. Yes, we have all those all three of those. And I'll try to hop on here as well after, Jay. We'll see what happens and what time that ends. But yeah, I think that's it for this week. Oh, James is at WrestleMania, so also keep an eye out for some cool stuff from there. I don't know what he's planning to do, but he's going to be running around like a madman. I think he's probably going to Ring of Honor. I think he's trying to go, or maybe I think he's trying to go to the Impact New Japan show, and he will be at both nights of Mania. So be sure to keep an eye out on all of our platforms for stuff from him. Anyway, for Danny Garcia, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. I called you Danny and you're mad, right?
You called me Danny Garcia.
Oh, wow, Jesus Christ. Good night, everybody. God damn it, dude. Wow. You know what it is? It's the cold medication for my head cold. I'm still fucking running off of it. Sorry, Daniel Hernandez. Bye.
You don't sound sorry.
I'm a little sorry.